Rome does not wake up with a shout. It wakes with a whisper. Before the first scooter rattles over the stones, and before the sun hits the golden domes, there is a moment of impossible silence. We are standing in the heart of Trastevere, a place where time seems to have folded in on itself. The air is cool, scented with blooming jasmine and old stone. But what secrets does a city keep when it thinks no one is watching? Today, we are going to find out. This is a journey through the layers of the eternal city, from hidden courtyards to the monumental echoes of empires. The light at 5 in the morning is a bruised, delicate indigo, a colour that seems to seep out of the ancient stones themselves. In these early hours, Trastevere belongs to the dreamers and the ghosts. There is a profound stillness here, broken only by the occasional flutter of a pigeon's wings or the distant, rhythmic hum of a street sweeper. As we walk, the air is cool against the skin, carrying the dampness of the nearby Tiber river. This is the hour when the city's layers are most visible. You can almost feel the weight of the centuries pressing down on the cobblestones, those famous Sampietrini that have been polished by millions of feet over 2,000 years. These stones are not just a road, they are a mosaic of history. But what is it about this specific light that makes the city feel so young? It is as if the morning sun wipes away the dust of history, offering Rome a fresh start every single day. The vines that cling to the ochre-coloured walls are still dark, waiting for the first touch of gold to reveal their vibrant green. We move slowly, our footsteps echoing in the narrow alleys, mindful of the families sleeping behind heavy wooden shutters. Every corner reveals a small shrine, a flickering candle, or a weathered door that has seen more than we can imagine. The textures here are tactile and rich, the rough grain of the stone, the smooth cool of a marble fountain, and the soft dampness of the moss growing in the shadows. This is the prologue to our day. It is a moment of pure, unadulterated peace before the chaos of modern life returns to the city. We aren't just walking through a neighborhood, we are walking through the very soul of Rome. The silence is a rare gift, allowing us to hear the city breathe. Can you feel the rhythm? It is slow, steady and ancient. As the sky begins to pale, we realize that the city is not just a place, it is a living, breathing entity that remembers everything. As the light transitions from indigo to a soft, pearlescent grey, a new sensation takes hold. It is the scent of Rome in the morning. If you close your eyes, you can smell it, a heady, sweet mixture of blooming jasmine and the mineral tang of damp volcanic stone. The jasmine vines are everywhere in Trastevere, cascading over balconies and tangling themselves around drain pipes like green waterfalls. They provide a softness to the rugged architecture, a reminder that nature still finds a way to thrive amidst the marble and brick. But have you ever wondered why this scent feels so nostalgic? Perhaps it is because it has not changed in centuries. The Romans of the Renaissance breathed this same air, the poets of the 19th century walked these same paths, surrounded by this same intoxicating perfume. It is a sensory bridge that connects us to the past. The smell of the city is also grounded by the earthiness of the Tiber. There is a faint metallic scent from the river water, mixed with the smell of wet pavement after the morning dew. These scents act as anchors, grounding us in the present moment while our minds wander through history. We pass a small bakery, and the aroma shifts. Now it is the warm, buttery scent of fresh cornetti being pulled from the oven. This is the first sign of the waking city. It is a comforting smell, a signal that the day is truly beginning. However, for now, we stay with the jasmine. We let it fill our lungs as we turn another corner into a courtyard hidden from the main street. Here the air is still and the fragrance is even more concentrated. It is a small, private paradise of green and white. These hidden spots are the true great beauty of Rome, the moments that are not on the map but are felt in the soul. The contrast between the rough, crumbling plaster of the walls and the delicate, waxy petals of the flowers is a perfect metaphor for the city itself. Rome is a place of immense power and extreme fragility, standing side by side in the morning light. We leave the narrow embrace of Trastevere and step onto the Ponte Sisto. This bridge is more than just a path over the water. It is a monumental piece of history commissioned by Pope Sixtus IV in the 15th century. As we walk across its weathered stones, the vista opens up, The Tiber flows beneath us, its surface a mirror for the early morning sky. The water is a deep, murky green, swirling around the ancient stone pylons that have stood against floods and wars for centuries. Looking north, we can see the dome of St. Peter's rising in the distance, a pale silhouette against the brightening horizon. It is a moment of profound scale. You feel small standing here, suspended between the two banks of a river that defined Western civilization. But did you notice the circular opening in the center of the bridge? It is called the oculone, or big eye. It was not just built for aesthetics, it was a functional design to relieve the pressure of the river during the frequent floods that used to plague the city. The engineering is as beautiful as it is practical. The sound of the river is a constant low-frequency hum, a soothing backdrop to the waking city. On the bridge, the wind picks up slightly, carrying the coolness of the water. We stop for a moment at the center, leaning against the cold stone railing. Below, the reflections of the riverside buildings dance on the ripples. It is like looking at a liquid painting of Rome. The light is changing now. The soft greys are being replaced by hints of pale gold. The tops of the umbrella pines on the Janiculum hill are catching the first rays of the sun. This bridge has been a witness to everything. It has seen the rise and fall of families, the arrival of pilgrims, and the daily commute of millions. To walk across it at dawn is to participate in a ritual that is as old as the city itself. The stones beneath our feet are worn smooth by time, a physical record of every soul that has passed this way. We are just the latest in a long line of travelers seeking the beauty of the other side. As we reach the far bank, we enter the heart of the historical center, where the streets begin to widen and the buildings grow taller, casting long dramatic shadows across our path. The Tiber is not a majestic, clear river like some of its European cousins. It is a working river, a muddy, powerful artery that has pulsed through the heart of Rome since the very beginning. Without this water, there would be no eternal city. In ancient times, this was the highway for trade, bringing salt, grain, and marble from the Mediterranean. But the river was also a source of terror. For millennia, Rome lived in fear of the floods of the Tiber, which could submerge entire neighborhoods in a matter of hours. If you look closely at the walls of the buildings near the banks, you can still see small stone markers indicating the height of the water during historical floods. Some are remarkably high, reaching the second stories of houses. It is a sobering thought, however. How did the city finally tame this wild force? In the late 19th century, the massive stone embankments we see today, the Trastevere, were constructed. They changed the face of the city forever. To build them, thousands of ancient buildings along the river were demolished, and the city was effectively cut off from its water. Today, the river sits deep within its stone canyon, separated from the streets by high walls and rows of majestic plane trees. As we walk along the upper level, the trees create a cathedral-like canopy of green, their leaves dappled with the morning light. The sound of the traffic above is muffled by the height, and the sound of the water below remains a constant companion. There is a strange, melancholic beauty to the Tiber. It carries the silt of the mountains and the secrets of the city out to the sea. We look down at the bicycle paths and the occasional rowing club taking advantage of the calm morning water. The river feels different at this hour, less like a barrier and more like a quiet witness. The light reflecting off the water hits the undersides of the bridges, creating shimmering patterns of light on the ancient masonry. It is a reminder that even the most solid structures are in a constant dialogue with the elements. The river flows on, indifferent to the empires that have risen and fallen on its banks, a symbol of the ultimate continuity of life. We arrive at Campo de Fiori, just as the market vendors are unfolding their umbrellas. This square is one of the few places in Rome that still feels like a true community hub, untouched by the grandiosity of the nearby palazzos. The name literally means field of flowers, a remnant of the Middle Ages when this area was an open meadow. Now, the flowers are confined to the stalls, but their presence is still felt in the vibrant splashes of colour against the grey pavement. Sunflowers, lilies and roses are arranged in buckets, their scents competing with the earthy smell of fresh produce. We watch as crates of artichokes, chicory, and bright red tomatoes are unloaded from small vans. The sound of the market is a symphony of clinking metal, wooden crates sliding on stone, and the melodic exchange of morning greetings between vendors. But there is a dark shadow in the centre of this lively scene. The bronze statue of Giordano Bruno stands tall, his face hooded and sombre. He was a philosopher executed here for heresy in 1600.
His presence is a stark reminder of the city's complex and often violent history. The contrast between the bright, bustling market and the dark, brooding statue is quintessentially Roman. Life and death, beauty and tragedy all occupy the same space. We walk through the stalls, the ground already littered with discarded leaves and stems. The air here is thicker, filled with the energy of people who have been awake for hours. You can hear the clack-clack of the espresso machines from the surrounding cafes. This is the moment when the city's heart rate begins to climb. The local residents come out with their wicker baskets, picking through the greens with practiced eyes. There is a sense of continuity here that is deeply comforting. The market has happened here in some form for centuries. The methods might have changed, but the human interaction remains the same. We take a moment to breathe it all in, the colors, the sounds, the history. Campo de' Fiori is the bridge between the silent Rome of the dawn and the bustling metropolis of the afternoon. It is a place of transition, where the echoes of the past meet the necessities of the present.
Standing before the Pantheon, you are looking at the greatest architectural survivor of the ancient world. For nearly 2,000 years, this structure has defied time, gravity, and the elements. Its massive bronze doors and towering granite columns are intimidating, but the true miracle is hidden inside. We step through the threshold and the world outside disappears. The space opens up into a perfect sphere of stone and light. Above us is the largest unreinforced concrete dome ever built, a record it still holds today. But how did the Romans achieve this without modern steel? The answer lies in their mastery of materials. The concrete was made using volcanic ash from the nearby hills, which created a chemical bond stronger than anything used in the centuries that followed. To make the dome lighter as it rose, they used progressively lighter aggregates, from heavy basalt at the base to light, porous pumice at the very top. It is a masterpiece of engineering that feels more like a spiritual experience than a building. The only source of light is the oculus, a 9-meter wide hole at the very peak of the dome. As we stand here, a single beam of sunlight cuts through the darkness like a physical object. It moves slowly across the interior, acting as a giant sundial that marks the passage of time. When it rains, the water falls directly into the temple, disappearing into nearly invisible drainage holes in the marble floor. The floor itself is a work of art, a pattern of squares and circles made from rare marbles brought from every corner of the Roman Empire, purple from Egypt, yellow from Numidia, green from Greece. Walking on these stones, you are walking on the map of an empire. The atmosphere inside is heavy with silence and the scent of old incense. It is a place that demands reverence regardless of your beliefs. The Pantheon was originally built to honor all gods, and today it serves as a tomb for kings and the great artist Raphael. It is the ultimate expression of Roman confidence, a building that was intended to last forever, and remarkably, it has. The scale of the interior is so perfectly balanced that it doesn't feel oppressive. Instead, it feels like it is embracing you. You can almost feel the presence of the Emperor Hadrian, who designed this space to be a temple for the world. It is the perfect marriage of human ambition and natural light. As we move toward the Roman Forum, we begin to see the shape that defined the empire, the arch. While the Greeks perfected the column, the Romans mastered the arch, and in doing so they changed the world before the arch. Buildings were limited by the distance a stone beam could span without breaking. The arch changed everything by redirecting weight outward and downward, allowing for massive open spaces and soaring heights. But was the arch just a tool for building? No, it was also a powerful symbol of Roman power. We encounter the triumphal arches, massive freestanding structures built to celebrate military victories. The Arch of Septimius Severus and the Arch of Constantine stand as monumental gateways to history, covered in intricate carvings that tell the stories of forgotten battles and deified emperors. To walk under one of these arches was to participate in the glory of the state. Architecturally, the arch allowed for the construction of aqueducts, bridges, and the Colosseum itself. It is the skeletal structure of Rome. You see it everywhere, in the curved windows of Renaissance palazzos and the grand entrances of modern museums. It is a form that suggests both strength and grace. As we walk through the Forum, we see the ruins of arches that have partially collapsed, leaving only their stone cores. Even in decay, they possess a tragic beauty. The engineering was so sound that many of these structures survived centuries of earthquakes and neglect. The secret was the keystone,
the wedge-shaped stone at the very top that locks the entire structure into place. Without it, the arch would crumble. With it, it can support tons of weight. There is a metaphor there for the empire itself, a complex system of parts held together by a central authority. The light now is becoming more golden, hitting the curves of the remaining arches and casting long, rhythmic shadows across the grass. We stop to admire the way the stone has weathered, turning a warm, honey-coloured hue. These arches are the echoes of a civilization that believed in its own permanence. They remind us that while the people are gone, the ideas they carved into stone remain. The arch is more than just geometry. It is the physical manifestation of Roman ambition, a bridge between the earth and the sky that has stood the test of 2,000 years.
The Roman Forum is a valley of ghosts. At first glance, it may look like a chaotic collection of broken columns and crumbling brick. But if you look closer, the city begins to reconstruct itself. This was the beating heart of the world, the place where laws were made, emperors were praised, and the common people gathered to gossip and trade. We walk down the Via Sacra, the sacred way where triumphant generals once paraded their spoils. The paving stones under our feet are the very ones they used, worn uneven by centuries of use. To our left is the Curia, the Senate House. It is a plain, boxy building, but its influence was felt from Britain to Mesopotamia. Can you imagine the sound of the senators' voices echoing off these walls? The debates that shaped the Western world happened right here. But the Forum was not just about high politics. It was also the centre of daily life. We pass the ruins of the Basilica Julia, once a bustling law court and a place for the idle youth of Rome to hang out. If you look at the marble steps, you can still find game boards scratched into the stone by bored citizens waiting for their cases to be heard. It is these small human details that bridge the gap between us and the ancients. The air in the Forum is different. It feels heavy with the weight of time. The scent of dry grass and warm dust is mixed with the occasional whiff of wild herbs growing between the cracks. As the sun rises higher, the Forum begins to glow, the white marble fragments sparkle, and the red brickwork of the later imperial buildings turns a deep, rich crimson. We stop at the Temple of Vesta, where the sacred fire of Rome was kept burning for over 1,000 years. The Vestal virgins who lived in the palace nearby were the keepers of the soul of the city. Their story is one of immense privilege and terrifying responsibility. Today, only a few columns and a reconstructed section remain, surrounded by a peaceful rose garden. This juxtaposition of monumental ruin and soft nature is what makes the Forum so evocative. It is not a museum, it is a landscape where history has been allowed to age naturally. Every stone tells a story of ambition, greed, piety, and ultimately, the inevitable passage of time. We are not just looking at ruins, we are looking at the foundation of our own civilization, stripped down to its essential elements. Rome is a city of layers, and some of the most beautiful layers are kept behind closed doors. As we wander away from the Forum and back into the winding streets of the centre, we look for the heavy, iron-studded wooden portals of the great palazzos. Occasionally, one of these doors is left slightly ajar, offering a glimpse into another world. These are the hidden courtyards of Rome, private sanctuaries that feel miles away from the noise of the street. We step inside one, and the temperature immediately drops. The air is cool and still, trapped within thick stone walls. In the centre, there is almost always a fountain. It might be a simple stone basin or an elaborate sculpture of a sea god, but the sound is always the same, a gentle musical splashing that masks the sounds of the city. But why are these spaces so vital to the Roman experience? They represent the interior life of the city, the private great beauty that is reserved for those who know where to look. Many of these courtyards contain spolia, ancient marble fragments, inscriptions or statues that were found during construction and incorporated into the walls. It is a uniquely Roman form of recycling, where the past is literally built into the present. We see a fragment of a Roman sarcophagus used as a planter for geraniums and a headless statue standing guard over a row of bicycles. There is no pretension here, just a natural coexistence with history. The light in these courtyards is filtered and soft, reflecting off the pale yellow or ochre walls of the surrounding apartments. Potted lemon trees and tall palms add a touch of green, their leaves perfectly still in the protected air. These are the places where the continuity of life mentioned earlier is most apparent. You can hear the muffled sound of a TV, Before you see the Trevi fountain, you hear it. It is a low-frequency roar like the sound of a distant ocean trapped within the narrow streets. As we turn the final corner, the space opens up into a theatrical masterpiece of stone and water. The fountain is massive, dominating the small square and leaning against the back of the Palazzo Poli. This is Baroque drama at its peak, a celebration of movement, light, and the power of nature. Huge figures of Oceanus and his tritons emerge from the rock, taming the wild horses of the sea. The water does not just flow, it crashes, pours, and dances over the artificial cliffs. But, have you ever noticed the colour of the water? It is a brilliant, crystalline turquoise, a result of the pure water brought into the city by the Aqua Vergine, an ancient aqueduct that has been functioning since 19 before Christ. This is not just a decoration, it is a monument to the Roman obsession with water. At this early hour, we can stand at the very edge of the basin. The cool mist from the splashing water feels refreshing on our faces. The light hits the white travertine stone, making it glow with an almost blinding intensity. We look down into the clear water and see the thousands of coins shimmering at the bottom. The legend says that if you throw a coin over your shoulder, you are guaranteed a return to Rome. It is a simple ritual, but it connects every visitor to the eternal pull of the city. The Trevi is a sensory overload. The sound is so loud it makes conversation difficult, forcing you into a state of silent observation. We watch the way the water interacts with the sculpture, how it clings to the muscles of the horses and drips from the beard of Oceanus. It is a living sculpture, never the same from one second to the next. The genius of the architect, Nicola Salvi, was in creating a sense of controlled chaos. The fountain feels like it is bursting out of the building, a wild force of nature that has been momentarily captured in stone. As the first groups of tourists begin to trickle into the square, we take one last look at the dancing water. The Trevi is the voice of Rome, powerful, dramatic, and endlessly flowing through the centuries. We often think of concrete as a modern grey and somewhat boring material. But for the Romans, it was a revolutionary technology that allowed them to conquer space itself. Without opus caementicium, the Rome we see today would not exist. The secret ingredient was a reddish volcanic ash called pozzolana, found near Mount Vesuvius. When mixed with lime and water, it created a chemical reaction that allowed the concrete to set even underwater. But what makes Roman concrete so much better than our modern version? Scientists have recently discovered that it has self-healing properties. When cracks form, rainwater reacts with bits of unslaked lime inside the mixture, creating a calcium-saturated solution that recrystallizes and fills the gap. The building literally repairs itself. This is why the Pantheon still stands while many modern bridges crumble after 50 years. As we walk past the massive ruins of the baths of Caracalla, or the remnants of the harbour at Ostia, we see the raw power of this material. It was not just poured into slabs, it was used to create complex vaults and domes that could span huge distances. The Romans used it like a liquid stone, pouring it into wooden moulds to create any shape they desired. This gave them an architectural freedom that the world had not seen before. You can see the texture of the concrete in the exposed cores of many ruins, a rough, incredibly hard mixture of mortar and large chunks of rock or brick. It is not always pretty, but it is indestructible to the Romans. This material was a symbol of their ability to master the environment. They did not just build with what nature provided, they created new materials to suit their ambitions. The light of the morning highlights the rugged texture of these ancient walls. They are the bones of the city, hidden beneath veneers of marble or plaster, but providing the strength that has allowed Rome to endure for 2 millennia. It is a humbling thought that a simple mixture of ash and lime could create something so permanent,
As we continue our walk, we look at the city differently, not just as a collection of beautiful shapes, but as a triumph of chemistry and engineering.
The morning is progressing, and the soft greys and indigos have finally given way to the famous Roman gold. This is the golden hour, but in Rome it feels more like the city has been dipped in liquid honey. As we walk back toward the river, the light is hitting the facades of the buildings along the Vira at a sharp angle, emphasizing every crack, every cornice, and every fragment of history. The Tiber has transformed as well. The murky green is now a shimmering path of light, with the arches of the bridges casting deep velvet shadows. The plane trees that line the river are glowing, their yellow-green leaves translucent in the sun. But why does this light feel so different here than in any other city? Many believe it is because of the dust and the volcanic stone, which reflect the sun in a warm, diffused way. It is a light that flatters the ruins and softens the edges of the modern world. We stop on the Ponte Sant'Angelo, the Bridge of Angels. Each of the 10 marble angels holding the instruments of the Passion seems to catch the light differently. Their wings are backlit, creating a halo effect that makes them feel like they might actually take flight. Below us, the river flows steadily, carrying the golden reflections toward the sea. The soundscape is changing too. The quiet of the dawn is being replaced by the sounds of the city awakening, the distant chime of church bells, the hum of traffic, and the voices of people heading to work. But from the riverbank, it all feels distant and peaceful. We watch a small boat move slowly through the water, leaving a golden wake behind it. This is the Rome of the movies, the Rome of dreams. It is a moment of pure sensory bliss, where the temperature is perfect, the light is stunning, and the history is all around us. The great beauty is not something you have to search for. At this hour, it simply presents itself. We breathe in the warm air, which now carries the faint smell of roasted coffee and old wood. The city is fully awake now, but it still retains that morning magic. This golden light is the bridge between the mystery of the night and the reality of the day. It is the time when the eternal city feels most alive, vibrating with a warmth that seems to come from the stones themselves. We climb the gentle slope of the Aventine Hill, leaving the bustle of the river behind. Our destination is the Giardino degli Aranci, the Orange Garden. As we pass through the gates, the world changes again. This is a place of order and tranquility. Rows of bitter orange trees are planted in a symmetrical pattern, their dark green leaves providing deep shade even as the sun climbs higher. The scent here is incredible, a sharp, clean citrus aroma that clears the mind. We walk slowly along the gravel paths, the sound of our footsteps the only noise in this secluded park. But what makes this garden so special is not just the trees, it is the view. At the end of the central path, the garden opens up to a terrace that overlooks the entire city. From here you can see the rooftops of Rome spread out like a terracotta carpet. The dome of St. Peter's is perfectly framed by the trees, looking so close you feel like you could reach out and touch it. It is a place for contemplation, a place to sit on a stone bench and let the beauty of the city sink in. The light here is dappled, filtered through the leaves, creating a rhythmic pattern on the ground. We find a quiet corner and just listen. You can hear the distant bells of the hundreds of churches of the city, each with its own unique tone coming together in a soft, musical blur. This is the great beauty in its most serene form. There are no grand monuments here, just the trees, the stone, and the view. The orange trees themselves are a symbol of the resilience of the city. They fruit in the winter, providing a splash of bright color when the rest of the world is grey. We take a moment to look at the details, the rough bark of the trees, the small white blossoms that will soon become fruit, and the way the orange light of the sun matches the color of the oranges themselves. It is a moment of perfect harmony. The Aventine Hill has always been a place of retreat, a place to find perspective. As we stand at the edge of the terrace looking out over the Tiber and the ruins, we feel the continuity of life that we have been tracing all morning. Rome is a city that knows how to provide these moments of peace, if you are willing to climb the hill to find them. Just a few steps away from the Orange Garden is one of Rome's most delightful secrets. We arrive at a large, unassuming green door leading to the Priory of the Knights of Malta. At first glance, it looks like any other aristocratic entrance, but there is usually a small line of people waiting patiently in front of it. They are there for the keyhole. We step up and lean in, closing one eye to peer through the small brass opening. What we see is a perfect miniature world. A long manicured hedge tunnel leads the eye directly to the dome of St. Peter's Basilica, perfectly framed at the very end. But how is the alignment so perfect? It is a masterpiece of perspective and planning. The dome, which is actually several kilometers away, looks like it is sitting at the end of the garden. It is an optical illusion that feels like a private gift from the city. Through the keyhole, you are looking across three sovereign entities, the territory of the Knights of Malta, the nation of Italy, and the Vatican City, all in one glance. It is a profound realization of how layered and complex this city is. The view is frozen like a photograph, unaffected by the movement of the street behind us. The light inside the hedge tunnel is a deep, cool green, which makes the sun-drenched dome at the end appear even more brilliant. It is a reminder that beauty often requires a specific point of view. Rome teaches us to look closer, to find the small openings that reveal grand truths. We step away from the door, feeling a sense of wonder. It is a simple thing, a hole in a door, but it captures the essence of Roman ingenuity and the desire to create beauty in the most unexpected places. The experience is brief, but it lingers in the mind. As we continue our walk, we find ourselves looking at every door and every gate with a new sense of curiosity. What else is hidden just out of sight? The keyhole is a metaphor for the entire city. Rome does not reveal everything at once. It requires patience, a bit of effort, and the willingness to look at things from a different angle. We carry that image of the framed dome with us as we begin our final ascent toward the Janiculum hill, mindful of the hidden layers that surround us at every turn.
Our walk is coming to its natural conclusion as we begin the climb up the Janicolo or Janiculum hill. This is not one of the original 7 hills of Rome, but it offers perhaps the most spectacular view of them all. The path is steep in places, lined with tall, elegant cypress trees and statues of the heroes of the Italian unification. The air here is noticeably fresher, cooled by the breeze that always seems to blow across the ridge. As we ascend, the city below begins to shrink, turning into a dense, intricate map of domes and rooftops. The light is changing again. The midday sun is softening, preparing for the final display of the evening. But did you know that this hill has its own daily ritual? Every day at noon, a cannon is fired from the top to synchronize all the church bells of the city. We have missed the cannon, but the energy of the ritual still seems to hang in the air. We pass the Fontanone, the big fountain, which was the inspiration for the opening scene of the film, The Great Beauty. Its massive arches and rushing water are a grander, more elevated version of the fountains we saw earlier. The sound of the water here is powerful, echoing off the stone and mixing with the rustle of the leaves. We stop for a breath, looking back at the path we have travelled. We can see the curve of the Tiber, the top of the Pantheon, and the sprawling ruins of the Forum. From this height, the layers of history we have been walking through become a single, cohesive story. The Janiculum is a place of memory. It is where the modern nation of Italy was fought for, and its monuments are a testament to that struggle. But for us, it is a place of perspective. As we reach the summit, the entire horizon opens up. The Alban hills are visible in the far distance, and the city of Rome is spread out in all its chaotic, eternal glory. The light is now a deep, burnished orange, casting long shadows across the Tiber valley. We find a spot along the stone wall and wait. This is the moment we have been walking toward, the chance to see the city as a whole, to hear its collective voice as the day begins to fade. And then it happens. As the sun begins to dip behind the dome of St. Peter's, the bells begin to ring. It starts with a single deep toll from a nearby basilica, and then one by one hundreds of other bells join in. It is a chaotic, beautiful and overwhelming sound, the eternal echo of Rome. This is not a synchronized concert. It is a layered conversation between the centuries. Each bell has its own history, its own tone, and its own reason for ringing. Together they create a soundscape that is unique to this city. From our vantage point on the Janiculum, the sound rises up like a physical wave. We look out over the silhouette of the city, the domes and towers standing dark against the fiery sky. But what does this sound tell us? It tells us that Rome is still here. It tells us that despite the empires that have fallen and the centuries that have passed, the rhythm of life in this city remains unbroken. We have walked through the silence of the dawn, the scent of the jasmine, the engineering of the ancients, and the hidden beauty of the courtyards. All of it is contained in this moment. The continuity of life is not just a phrase, it is the feeling of the wind on this hill and the sound of these bells. The light is fading into a deep purple and gold, the aurei azzurre or blue hours of the evening. The street lights are beginning to flicker on, tracing the lines of the ancient streets below. Rome is preparing for another night, another cycle of dreams and ghosts. We feel a profound sense of connection to the millions who have stood on this hill before us, watching this same sunset and hearing these same bells. The city is a masterpiece of human effort and natural beauty, a place where every stone has a voice and every corner has a secret. As the bells begin to fade, leaving only the distant hum of the city, we realize that we do not just visit Rome, we experience it. It stays with you, a series of sensory echoes that follow you home. The great beauty is not a destination, it is a way of seeing the world. We take one last look at the dark curve of the Tiber and the twinkling lights of Trastevere, knowing that the eternal city will be there to greet the dawn again tomorrow, just as it has for nearly 3,000 years.
Thank you for joining me on this slow walk through the echoes of Rome. From the quiet alleys of Trastevere to the heights of the Janiculum, I hope you felt the pulse of the eternal city alongside me. If this journey brought you a moment of peace, please consider subscribing to Daydreaming Travel Stories for more immersive escapes. Before you go, I would love to hear from you. What is your dream destination in Rome, or a place that has always captured your imagination? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Until our next journey, keep dreaming, and may your own path always lead to beauty. Goodbye for now.